My name is Coach Parker. I'm officially the head boys coach. I want to introduce Coach Benson here as the assistant boys coach. Coach Kaufman here is the head girls coach. Coach Myers here is the assistant girls coach. The way we're going to run the banquet this evening is we go in the order that the races go in. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I won't lose my voice today. We go in the order in which the races go, so the girls will go first. A couple of housekeeping items though, and thank yous. We do have commemorative cupcakes and cookies back there for you. The cookies are shoes with school colors on them. I think they turned out nicely. I did not cook them. Lady over in Watertown. But I think we have enough for everybody to have one or the other. Back in the back, some of the folks, some of the parents have put together some really nice photo ribbons for every runner. So please make sure you go back and get your photo ribbon. And then up front here, we have some really nice parting senior gifts that I would like to make sure that I mention now before it gets all bushy and emotional there at the end and people leave without thinking about taking them. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and if you're going to grab a cupcake or a cookie, please do so now. Your pictures.
Can everybody hear back there? All right, first of all, good evening and a warm welcome to all parents, families, and friends who are here tonight to recognize and celebrate the sacrifices, hard work, laughter, tears, and strong effort for all the DeForest student-athlete cross-country runners. Tonight is our night to recognize all of them for their achievements and to thank them for taking the time out of their busy schedules to give us their time this year. As Coach Parker mentioned, I'm Bob Kaufman, the head coach of the girls cross-country team. I was hired in July of this year to carry forward the strong tradition and legacy of the program. But before I go any further with this year's achievements and introducing the classes, on behalf of myself and my coaching staff and the girls team, we would like to first extend our congratulations to the boys team for their season under the leadership of, and he's too humble to say it, but Badger Large Conference Coach of the Year, Coach Joe Parker. Congratulations. In order for me to have the opportunity to coach, teach, guide, and instill my lifelong love for sport distance running to all these talented young ladies tonight, it took a strong group of individuals to rely on. First and foremost, I want to give out a huge shout out to my wife Amy, she's in the back there. She's the one who told me a couple years ago about the possibility of becoming a guide runner for a young man in the boys track team, and that started the wheels in motion to be where I am today. She allowed me to chase after my dream that I would never thought possible, and put up with my time away during these working years, during our retirement years now, and has been the first one to always ask me how my day was and keep encouraging me to chase my dream. So thank you dear for all your unconditional support and strength each and every day. I want to also thank, they're not here, but my daughters, son-in-laws, and grandchildren who gave the understanding of why their papa, as they call me, wasn't around and always came out to the beach to cheer on the team. I owe a huge thank you to my coaching staff, especially Coach Trish Myers. This was her first year, and she's a great addition to us this year. And two other assistant coaches, Kristen Gabriel and Hannah Sheenan, for their time away from their families and being eyes and ears to the team during workouts and meets and taking the splits. All of the feedback was appreciated, taken into consideration for valuable facets of myself and my multiple girls. Thank you all to Athletic Director Ray Penner and his assistant Teal Butler for the school support, putting up with the numerous questions and requests that I had. I got a special shout out to Coach Chris Smith for leaving me with a strong tradition to carry forward. Given generously of his time, knowledge, and feedback whenever I asked him it, and he always enjoys giving me his feedback whenever possible. And a final, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to the other person who made this possible by allowing me the opportunity to accept this track program, or accept it into the track program, and bring me into the fold of the boys cross-country team last year. He is encouraging me to apply for the girls' team, opening and then taking his valuable time to mentor me with vast knowledge and experience throughout the season. It's greatly appreciated and never taken for granted. And even though it probably gave him a few more gray hairs, he made my transition much easier, and the girls, and I hopefully look forward to many years of learning, working, and coaching alongside you. Thank you very much. So that we get to the main reason for why we're here tonight. I'd like to first expound upon our season. It started out as a trying one for many of the young ladies. As for the majority of the summer, they really had no idea who was going to be the coach or what direction the team would be. All of us started the season very tentatively, but as each day passed, we began to grow and form a bond and a trust, and it led to a very successful year. We are a young team, had many ups and downs with injuries and serious illnesses, but the young ladies here you see before you continue to work hard each and every day, and it was shown by the weekly improvements in practice time. We had 2 personal PRs that were set at sectionals this year, the last week of the year, and 7 PRs were set by runners in the last 10 weeks of the season. A shorthanded varsity placed 5th in the conference and was in the upper half of the standing each and every meet, and the JV squad was also successful. Highlight of their season was taking first place at the DPD with all 4. So thank you, girls, for your efforts this year. Finally, on a personal note, I want to say how proud and elated I am and looking forward to the stronger years ahead, working with the girls who are returning. I encourage each of them to continue to work their hard off season, build the base necessary during the summer and the off-season program, work hard in the weight room and your classroom, and the continued success and improvements will follow. And to my graduating senior runners, I thank you so very much for the leadership, race, practice, efforts, and constant feedback this season. I know you'll continue to grow in all your endeavors moving forward, but I'm confident that the lessons you have observed so far will lead to successful future years in your college, work, and family life. Parents, you should be very proud and praise the fine group of young ladies, and I'm glad to be your leader this year. It is hard ever so often during the weeks to keep running as a part of your life, as the value of it is priceless, and I know each and every one of them, I'm sure we'll see out running the roads, probably coming back for the 4th of July run every year, and checking in to make sure the classes that follow behind after doing the job continue the tradition forward. No, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'll be here for any time for the need. If you need to talk about anything regarding school, leadership, anything. And for next year, I can't wait for the season to begin. Thank you. I'm going to start out with the freshman class first of all. And each girl, as we call your name, can come up and receive the award that's given to you tonight. My first freshman is Ridley Schwenke. Every team has that one person you know is always going to show up, give it their all, and never complain. Ridley was that one person. Her strong commitment was proven when I saw her as a freshman, showing up to the summer running club, and not being afraid to hang with the seniors. She was quiet and unassuming, but not afraid to ask or text me with any questions. And even though she would give it her all each and every day after practice in the meets, she'd still jump on her bike to ride home at night and have enough energy for that. As a runner, she always hit the time goal that I gave her at the meet, but she would make me pull out my hair because I have to say, her first mile was always the slowest. And then come mile 2, she'd start passing, and by the third mile, she had the fastest splits of all, and was passing all these people past her, and then finished in the top half. She improved her race times by 5.78 minutes during the year, which isn't an easy thing to do, and achieved a PR of 23:38 at Porter Midbike. receiving her certificate of achievement. Congratulations. The next freshman, this young lady came to us the first week of the season, not what was her original plan. Unfortunately, she did not make the volleyball roster, which was her first love, but their loss was our game. She didn't have the necessary base for success initially, but based upon her fitness for volleyball and having some running in the offseason, it didn't take long to see what talents were there. By the middle of the season, she was pushing for a spot on the varsity level, and at the nightfall race was actually the fourth varsity scorer. Unfortunately, because of the lack of mileage in the off-season, injuries hampered her efforts, and while still trying so hard, she was unable to finish the season. She improved her race times by 3 minutes and had a PR of 23:36 at the end point. I know she still has dreams of volleyball, but I want her to know that she's always welcome back to the cross-country team, and I really hope to see her next year. Receiving her certificate of achievement, Lauren Sophomore. One of the shyest, quietest runners on the team was Elena Geoff. And once she started running, I could soon see she's soon going to be a force for us. Coach Parker had confided me early in the season that it wouldn't be long and we would be trailing for the varsity. By her third race, she did earn a varsity spot, and she kept it from there to the end of the year. Her top race was at nightfall with a PR of 22:15 and was the second varsity score that night. What stood out to me was her grit and determination that she put forth each and every week, and actually provided a very shining moment in my first coach of the year through the dedication that she had for us. Elena is also a soccer player and was on a club team during the season. Prior to the season, her and her family had scheduled an event in Michigan on the week of the sectional race, and I was informed that she wasn't going to be able to run that weekend. We found this out, and we knew that we had to allow her to go and play soccer because she had spent time for that also. 2 weeks out from the race, I received an email from Elena and her mother asking if it was too late to be able to run sectionals. They had discussed it together as a family, and Elena and her mother wanted to make sure if it was not too late to give up the Michigan trip at the start of the season to run sectionals. Needless to say, she could run, and this had been definitely a top point in my day. Unfortunately, she injured her ankle and could not finish her conference meet, but she rehabbed as best as she could, did run the week of sectionals, and managed a strong fifth-place team finisher. I know that she can do and have great things looking forward to a strong running future for this young lady. Can't wait to see where it leads her. Earning her varsity letter and a pin, Elena Geoff. Finally, the final freshman that I had on the team. I know what to expect from the first-year freshman who will perform shortly before the season started. She had a stress fracture and possibly a broken bone. Needless to say, my first thought was, well, there's lots of rehab and hopefully be able to run competitively by the end of the season. Fast forward to the second race of the season, you can imagine how surprised all of us were when this young and talented lady had made the team as a varsity runner and would establish herself to be the second top team scorer by the end of the season. She continued to put down PRs week after week, lowering her pace time by 4.5 minutes. She was a top team scorer in conference, achieving a 15th place overall and a second team large all-conference spot, and then followed it up with a PR of 20.49 as a very strong sectional meet. Even though she was a freshman, she didn't allow to be intimidated by the strong upperclassmen runners and the strong conference teams that we had up against. She did tie for the team ranking of second at the end of the year, and her future is just very bright. During the last week's state meet, I had the opportunity to walk the course with her, and I told her it would not surprise me if one day in the very near future she continues works hard, takes care of her body, nutrition, stays safe from injuries. She'd definitely be one of the runners out there on that speed course. Earning her first varsity letter of pin and a certificate as a top freshman runner, Lillian Schultz. Here's our freshman class. We'd like to take
So I need to start off with a lot of thank yous as well. Is this on?
Higher.
First of all, I need to thank my wife. Every year, what? I was just clearing my throat. Every year, it seems as though I'm talking more and more and more about running to her, and she's getting better and better and better at acting like she's listening. And so it has been an exciting 18 years of coaching cross country with her. I know she's looking forward to the next 18 as well. Honestly, I think it has become difficult for her over the years when we have children that I'm also talking to cross country about, about cross country. And so sometimes she has just gotten very good at saying, okay, now let's talk about something else. So she's a champion when it comes to supporting us, but she's also a champion in keeping us grounded. And I think that's an important piece to have in your life, to find someone, hold on to as long as you can. So, I need to thank Wyatt. I'll talk more about him as a runner, but it is very difficult to have your old man as a coach. Anybody that's had their father as a coach at any level in any sport understands that. I think it becomes even more heightened as the expectation becomes greater, and I think he's handled that exceptionally. There's a ton of people I need to thank for the season, so I apologize. Some are copies of what Coach Kaufman said, but I would feel bad if I didn't thank these folks. I need to thank Mr. Hinnert and Ms. Butler for allowing us the flexibility to do the things we want to do. The folks over at the bus barn, believe it or not, I can call them up and say, hey, can I have a bus to do a drop-off on or to go to this park? And within 2 hours, they can get me a bus. So they're awesome over there. I need to thank the coaching staff. I'll start first off with Coach Kaufman. He had to make up for 30 years in 30 days. Coach Smith left very abruptly at the end of the school year with 30 years of coaching experience. Koff was kind enough to apply and accept, and in 30 days had to fill those shoes. I think it was a thankless task to do, quite honestly. But I love the fact that he stepped in with the kindness, the accountability, and the awareness that he knew what he knew and he knew what he didn't know, and he wanted to know more. For a gentleman, 45, 46 years old, it is very impressive to me to see somebody want to learn that much. And so I think it would be remiss for us not to offer Coach Kaufman a round of applause. Coach Myers, in the same token, she's a lifelong runner as well. I've known Coach Myers for, 10 years probably on the baseball diamonds. And it was always fun to be at a baseball game because she was someone that I didn't have to talk baseball to. I could talk running with. And that was a lot of fun. She was always very interested in what was going on with the cross-country and track programs. And so when I knew there was going to be a position with Coach Gabriel taking a step back, it was nice for Koff and I to be able to reach out and for her to accept. She is a warm, nurturing person that is really nice to have around high school kids, because as a grouchy old man that I am, it's nice to have kind of a nice buffer for the kids to have somebody that is as caring and warm as she is. So thank you, Coach Meyer. I want to recognize Coach Gabriel and Coach Sheehan, who are not here this evening. Coach Gabriel also was transitioning from Coach Smith retiring, and so I know with an extended role in her job, her time was more split between family job and coaching. Coach Sheehan was new to the district this year, so I think it was a great way for her to reach out and get to know more of the community and more of the kids. I need to recognize the two guys coaches. Coach Najee, go ahead and give him a round of applause. 2 years ago, I was standing at the ticket booth for a pre-packet pickup for the Freedom Run, and a former student of mine and cross-country runner, but I wasn't coaching at the time, came up and said, yeah, her and her husband had just moved back to the area, and he used to coach over in Viroqua, that he was very interested in possibly helping out if his work schedule could work out. What has been great about having Coach Najee around is he is a leader by example, both physically and with his words. He says what he's going to do, and he does what he says he's going to do. It's been a lot of fun for me to be able to bounce ideas of workouts off of him, training principles, and have him with the experience that he had, especially over in Viroqua as a head cross-country coach, to be able to just have that dialogue. So I think it has been a tremendous asset to our program, and I appreciate all of the effort. Coach Benson. Coach Benson is a gentleman that came to us 2 years ago in the interview when we first had an assistant boys job, and his #1 goal was to make more connections with kids outside of the classroom. He has done that in tenfold. His connections are personal, they are professional, they are an ear, they are a voice. He is someone that the kids can come to if they need something, or he's someone that can go to the kids and let them know they need something, mainly to act right. But it has been wonderful having Coach Benson here at the high school. He's both eyes and ears for the kids and of the kids, so that I get 2 sides to every story. I think that he has grown to really enjoy running. What I was impressed about this summer was the group runs that we did. He would run to the group runs, run with the guys, and then run home. Whereas 2 years ago when he started coaching cross country, we were building him up week by week as well. So it has been a tremendous joy to work with you over the last couple of years, and I thank you very much. Thank you to the parents. You know, it is, I talk to other coaches, not in cross country, but in sports, and we have tremendous support with our parents. We have parents that will not only drive kids to and fro, but feed their own children along with the entire team when they're taking on the pasta parties. I appreciate your flexibility with the morning workouts. with the evening workouts and with the meets. And I thank you for your positivity. We do not get a lot of griping when it comes to cross country. And that is because I think that you are projecting a positive role onto your kids. And it shows. Your kids show up with a positive attitude. So kids, if you don't mind giving your folks a round of applause. I want to congratulate the girls team. I mentioned before the transition. Without a doubt, the transition was difficult on many of you. And I think that you handled yourself with grace. And I know that at times you were frustrated, whether it was within yourself, within how your body was feeling, whether you're sick or injured, with workouts, with several other variables, but I feel like you guys really started to coalesce around the fact that you all love running. Well, tolerated running, I'll say that. And I feel like you helped keep the ship on course. To our seniors who really, I think, dedicated themselves to making sure that the younger runners and any runners that wanted to had someone to be in touch with over the summer, that was critical. Because I feel like without that, it would have been very easy to just be 18 individual runners out there. I think your leadership and grace is both appreciated and recognized. To the girls team, thank you. Congratulations on your season. I look forward to hearing about what the seniors do in the future, and I look forward to seeing what the rest of you can do next cross-country season. So our season, I was really happy with it. For the most part, it goes without saying, you know, the guys talked a lot about where in history they think I'm old enough to know where the beginning of running was, apparently. But I have been around this program for a long, long time. 30 years I've been either a runner, an assistant coach, or a coach. 30's not that old, right now. But it's very easy for me to say, based off of times, based off of performances, based off of places, points. This was the most prolific and successful season we have had. Not just because of what we did last weekend at the state meeting, but because what every individual did along the way. That goes from the third place podium finish at the state meet to the kid that was his #1 goal was to be able to run 3 miles and drop below a 40-minute mark. To me, every pocket of you, whether you were training at the front pack, training with the shot putters, training with the top of the JV, you made each other better. And because you made each other better, the team got better. That's a simple equation. We finished the season at the JV. You know, it was fun last year at the conference meeting because we could make a small side wager as to which team would score fewer points. And I'm sure that the varsity has already purchased the ice cream that they owe the JV team from last year. Anyway, so the same side bet came around this year. This year, it was exciting to see going into the meet, they were equally as close in points, somewhere in that 19 to 22 point range. And it was exciting to watch how it all unfolded. To be able to win the JV conference race as dominantly as we did last year, and turn around also and set an all-time conference record low points as a team. 7 of our 8 runners were all conference. Yeah, it's easy to say this was our best team in the history of the program. Albeit it's tough to put up times because kids are all running faster now. But that being said, we had to turn around and still show up for sectional meet. Sectionals has kind of had our number the last few years. There's been 4 times in my career that we have not qualified for state by 5 or less points. And so obviously that was in the back of my head. But we were in arguably the toughest sectional in the state. There were 4 ranked teams on the guys' side in our sectional. And for us to come out and win that with such a low point total was a lot of fun. Running at the state meet, to me, was the apex. I mean, yeah, being there was the #1 thing, but I talked to the guys quite thoroughly about you don't just show up and get the pat on the back off the bus. We had goals, and my goal for them was 162 points. If we scored 162 points, I thought we could be 4th. If we got help from some kid getting walking pneumonia or something, then we could get 3rd or 2nd. We actually got help, but unfortunately Preble and Marquette both had insurance policies, and they had kids run 40 spots up where they should have run. So for us to be 1,100 kids and 4th in the entire state, we were the 3rd smallest school at the state meet. So I think that speaks to the fact that our depth doesn't necessarily match our size when it comes to this enrollment thing. So it was exciting. Obviously, you can see the trophies up at the front, but it was an exciting year. My only question is, you know, what's next? This isn't the apex, right? For some of you, it's your last high school race. I hope it's not any of your last race. And so that's going to be the challenge for all of you. All right, let's recognize our individual runners here, shall we? Okay, just so you know how the certificates go, you get a lot of trinkets with your certificates now. So if this is your first varsity letter, you get this big varsity fuzzy letter right here. If this is your first sport ever, you get numerals. All right? The year that you're supposed to graduate. Hopefully we don't have to change numerals. And if this is your first varsity letter in cross country, you get a cross country pin. If this is your second or more letter, you get a bar. A little part of a chevron. All this used to go on mythical letters. All right. We're going to go in alphabetical reverse order. So we're going to start at the end of the alphabet. All right. First young man I was able to watch run in middle school several times. It was fun to watch Chandler as he continued to run at the front of a lot of races, top quarter for sure, top 10% when he was in middle school. But I knew he was coming into a very deep varsity program. I thought that he handled himself with grace. I thought that he battled through some adversity when it came to injuries, when it came to illness, but he still wanted to show up and race. His fastest time, I believe, was a 17:44. And that was run, was that at where? Nightfall. He had made our top 7 for 3 or 4 races, and towards the end of the season, when he got sick especially, he kind of got knocked back a little bit. But coming out in the JV conference race, finishing there in the top, you won it, didn't you? Yeah. Winning the JV conference race really proved to me that he's going to be comfortable in front of races, which is good, because we'll be looking for that in the future. Chandler, hey, come on. Receiving his varsity letter and top pressure award. All right, I know Jordan from middle school as well. Jordan Seiler was a middle school cross country runner, very quiet young man, very active academically focused, but what was fun for me to be able to watch during this season was how competitive he was. You know, he's very close friends with several of the other freshmen, and I think as they started moving up, I started seeing a little bit of fire in his eyes. And I think that, I know he plays a ton of basketball in the summer, but if he's able to add just a few days of running, 4 days of running, maybe 5 a week, next summer, he has the potential to really be helping us out in 2 or 3 years on the varsity team. Come on up and get your participation. Jaden Lefevre. Fun fact about Jaden Lefevre, he's got blue eyes. I didn't know that until up to 3 weeks ago, maybe. He got contacts for his blue eyes. I always admired him more for his hair, but now your eyes are right there. Jaden is very quiet. I don't know if that's always by choice. Sometimes he's around an individual in his home that takes up a lot of words. So I think he's left nodding and smiling a lot of the time. But Jaden has done a wonderful job not staying in the shadow of his brother. And that's very impressive to me as a freshman, especially to have a sophomore little brother. It can be very easy just to fall right in line. Jaden is not afraid to throw elbows and make his own space. It was really fun to watch him move up and help us out in that JV conference meet, scoring for us at the JV conference meet. And I want to thank him and look forward to another 3 glorious years with Jaden. Another young man that I knew from the middle school, watching Dylan run in middle school, he's also a swimmer, and so it's fun to talk to him throughout the school year, no matter what season he was in, whether it was cross country, swimming, or track. I know that Dylan was putting some mileage in this summer and really kind of got the winds knocked out of his sails when his hips started bugging real bad. He's a very, very competitive person, which I enjoy because I think that's going to help him fight through some of his injuries, but at the same time, I feel like that also hindered him because he wanted to fight through his injuries. He wanted to come back a little sooner than maybe his hip was ready for him to come back. And so I know that last race of the season was a painful one, but I know that with some time and some off-season training, he will be able to rebound and help us in the coming years. Dylan, come on up. You're a freshman class.
One of the things that I hope to someday is sit down with the parents of all the young ladies and find out truly, are they a shy, quiet house that they are on the track team or cross-country team? This first sophomore, very shy, quiet young lady, comes to practice every day, never complaining, put in work every day, improved each and every week. Never knew she was there because she was like, did the work, and never said anything. So I made it a point to go up to her and just try and draw her out each and every day, find out how things were. She always had this smile and said, good, fine, everything's going good. But her efforts, they just kept coming up. Didn't just show up with my iteration. She improved her time by 5 minutes over the year, and that's not an easy feat to accomplish. But again, it was a quiet 5 minutes. She was out there and she was racing. She improved from being the 17th team runner at the beginning of the state, ending as the 8th top scorer at nightfall with her PR of 25:45. She always had that shy smile whenever we talked to her, encouraged her, asked how her day was. But when it came race day, she had determination on her face that she was going to race. Unfortunately, the injury bug hit her at the end of the season and she was unable to race in confidence. She's another runner that I think will have big improvements in the years ahead, and I know that she's going to put in the time and effort to be successful. Receiving her certificate of achievement, Gabriella Manawang-Gurley. The next young lady started out this season with knee and ankle problems. She could never seem to get completely healthy. Her practices were limited due to the injuries, and she spent a lot of time rehabbing or just in much pain that she couldn't even finish workouts half the time. But she still managed to race, and when she raced effectively. She lowered her time by also 5 minutes, and even though she was disappointed she didn't have a PR for the year or race that was proven ability, I and the coaching staff knew that it wasn't for a lack of effort. I was just as frustrated as she was because she does have a talent. She was at the early morning weightlifting a little regularly, and I'm hoping truly that she has a healthy season of track, a strong off-season preparation, and I know that she'll come back more determined than ever. She has run fast times as a freshman, and I have no doubt she'll be at that level again. Receiving her certificate of achievement, Kara Rausch. The next two ladies are not here tonight. Unfortunately, we had a rash of, believe it or not, pneumonia or walking pneumonia this year. Hit 4 possibly 5 girls during the season. The first one here, they could be both here, and you would actually wonder if instead of friends, they were more like sisters because they were inseparable. They were training partners. They were shy, they were quiet, came in every day, put in effort, and also proved it. The first one was Madeline Parmenter. By the 4th meet of the season, she had earned a spot as a varsity runner. And even though the competition was fierce each week for that spot, she managed to hang on to it and prove her race times. Personally, I feel it was a friendly competition between not only her and Gretchen, but the other teammates that pushed her to continually be strong and not to be replaced. Maddie, while not having a PR time this year, still managed to roll over her race pace by 4 minutes for the year and was the first alternate on our sectional team. And just for practice, I feel we gave her the incentive to push her even harder during the upcoming season. And talking to her, I know she was excited to look forward to next year. Maddie earned her first letter in a bar, and we hope she gets well fast. The second duel of Maddie, this one was also just shy, quiet, and not afraid to put in the efforts. But she almost had her successful season derailed halfway through by an extreme bout of pneumonia. Gretchen Hayden began the year strong. She made the varsity in her first race, holding on to the spot all the way through the sectionals and proved that determination and toughness while battling the illness. She had missed 4 meets during the year, or during the middle of the season. Prior to that, she had ran the season best of 22:59 at River Valley. Our goal as coaches, we talked about it, was we weren't expecting much out of her when she came back, and we just wanted to make sure she got herself back in shape and could at least run the conference and run effectively. The last meet before conference, we used it as a warm-up meet, and she was barely into the 2-mile marker, and we had to pull her off the course. But the currently young lady is trying to solve by next week conference. She finished as a 13th finisher on the varsity. She followed up next week in sectionals with faster time and was the 4th place team finisher with her season best time of 22:32. Gretchen, with Maddie and the other girls, continue to push her, definitely has a bright future moving forward. I person is proud of the sacrifices she gave. She didn't throw in the towel or lose the sickness or illness as an excuse. And she came back with a better runner for her. Gretchen earned her first varsity letter and pin, and she earned enough points for the top sophomore of the year. Gretchen Kate.
All right, guys, sophomore, alphabetically in reverse. Technically one of my shot putters. He actually ran cross country for us last year as a freshman. I think that his most improved measurement would be knowing all of the roads and all of the routes this year. When I would say, hey, this is what we're doing, he would know what we were talking about. That's a vast improvement this year. Then last year it was he would nod and say yes, and then Mr. Benson typically would run close behind and make sure it was a yes. So this year, a lot of growth that way. I also saw a lot of growth in the fact that while he was willing to train with a couple of the other shot putters, that isn't where he settled on racing. In fact, he had a huge jump somewhere around Portage, Nightfall area in there, and ended up running his lifetime best there. I believe it was at Portage, 24:56, breaking that 25-minute mark. So it's impressive to watch him continue to improve, and I think with some time and some effort in over the summer, he's going to continue to drop down. I'd like to see him down in that 22-minute range next year. Liam Wolf, come on up. I don't think there's anything this young man doesn't believe he can do. What is fun about Parker is, you know, occasionally I will get kids that I have to say, hey, maybe you need to try and run 4.5 miles, not just 4 miles today. Or, hey, maybe let's drop down to this pace, and I think that'll help you improve. Most of the time with Parker, it's, no, you don't need to be running 12.5 miles today. It's the day before a meet. It is one of those things that is a blessing in disguise. Parker is driven. He wants to get better. He sees what it takes to get better, and he wants to do that. We are very, very fortunate, and I'll talk more about this later, as far as having runners in front of you that you feel like you want to aspire to be. We've had about a string of 10 years now where every group has had someone that they look at and say, I think I can do that, I think I can do that. And Parker is one of those that I would not be shocked if in 2 years someone in the freshman class is pointing to him saying the same thing. Parker, come on up here. Is a young man that came out for 3 sports as a freshman. It was inspiring to see him put his body through what he put his body through in all 3 of those sports. Running for the first time competitively, I think, as a freshman, really wore on his very quickly growing body. He was sprouting up from when I had him in 8th grade math to where he is now. He's probably, I would say, 5 inches, 6 inches taller, would you say? And so when your body's going through that much growth and you're pounding it on the mileage, Logan went through some pains. In his freshman year, I think it derailed him a little bit. This year, he wouldn't let it derail him. There was 1 or 2 times when I had to point blank ask him, should you be running today? Because I could tell something was bothering him. But he said, no, I'll be good, I'll be good. He pulled himself out when he had to fight, but he was not willing to pull himself out of any race. I think he had a strong group to be training with around his ability level, and because of that, he was able to drop to a lifetime best. What was that? Was that important? Section. Okay. I look forward to seeing him push himself in the swim season and in the coming track season because he continues to improve at everything he does. Logan, come on. Next young man, aspiring NBA player, at any constant party that you will run into, basketball love, no matter what it does to his body. Jacob Lefevre came into the season, earned varsity letter as a freshman. Watching him, improve last swim season, improve last track season was fun, but it's always fun when everything's new. And then when you start to add expectations, then that starts to add real life pressure, which I think is a great thing about high school sports. I think Jacob welcomed that pressure. I think that had he not gotten injured and literally not been able to run for 4 weeks, I don't know how fast he could have gone. It was that impressive to watch him go from, I think he was in the 1740s last year, ballpark. Take 4 weeks off and end the season with a 1708 in the sectional meet. It was impressive because not only was he doing that coming off of a broken thumb, but he has head colds every 20 minutes. A new head cold. And so he even was taking a step back and 2 steps forward, a step back, 2 steps forward. It was a lot of fun to watch him succeed and help our team out because I think with his second team all conference, and that's the second time we've been in the second team all conference. As a freshman, or excuse me, as a sophomore, to have 2 all conference under your belt already, very impressive. I look forward to seeing what else you do. Another young man I had in a classroom in 8th grade. He was a standout runner in middle school there. I think that his freshman year was an eye-opening experience for him. Again, a young man that I think looked at who's in front of him to see where he wants to be, not be happy with where he's at. Logan absolutely hammered mileage. I mean, it's one of those things that I think he has altered his diet. I hope he hasn't altered his family's diet. But he has altered what he puts in his body, how he treats his body, and he's very vocal about if he sees you eating something that maybe you shouldn't be eating. He will let you know. But he is, I believe, the quintessential, and I'll talk a little bit more about him in a little bit, but he is the quintessential make myself better no matter what the cost of any runner I've ever seen. I think he's got to the point now where he will listen to what I have to offer him and embrace it as not a punishment. I remember talking to him in the last cross-country season. You know what your #1 goal was in the winter of last year? Remember? He wanted to beef up. He wanted to get real big in the weight room. And I'm like, hey, man, yeah, get stronger, but I don't need you to add bulk. And he is noticeably stronger this year as a runner. And because of his performance, his 3rd place finish at the conference meet, his 12th place finish at the sectional meet, I think it was around 12th, and his 50th place at the state meet, 55th, excuse me, place at the state meet. He was an essential cog in the machine that we were able to produce this year with the turnouts that we had. Logan is earning his second varsity letter, 1st team all conference, and top sophomore for right now. on our team. And sometimes it is easy to equate quiet with passive. Yush is not a passive individual. He is a driven young man. And what I was impressed about with him this year was, last year he would drive himself to injury to the point where his shins would not allow him to run anymore. This year he was much more disciplined with his drive, albeit just as fiery with what he wanted to do and his goals. But I think by maturing a little bit in what to expect from his body, he saw better results this year. And I look forward to continuing watching him grow as a runner and as a person, and maybe even growing as a vocal leader on our team in the future. Yush Bounce, come on up. Final sophomore, Vincent Bertram. Vincent is he's an eclectic young man with a lot of interests. Did you finish your Eagle Scout project this weekend? Okay, he's working on his Eagle Scout project. He is part of multiple clubs here at the high school, I think with Godfather Parker over there. He's part of what's the name of FBLA, DECA, FCCLA, Council. And also, so Vince is spread thin when it comes to his time, but that does not alter his goals when it comes to races. Sometimes I think he gets out a little aggressive and suffers more than he needs to suffer in the middle races, but you are never left wondering if he give it his all. And judging by how he's finished some races just completely exhausted, I know that I can't ask for much more from Vincent. I would like to see a little more consistent off-season, that maybe some of those end of races pains aren't as painful, but Vincent continues to be an impressive asset to the effort side of our racing. So Vincent, come on up.
I think he was thinking of years I've been running, has been 45, a bit older, because as a child, there was a storybook about a little steam engine that continually moved forward using the band. I think I can. Well, when it comes to this next runner, it describes Paige Ewer. For those who don't know Paige, know that she only has one gear in her motor that is continually hammering and moving forward. She doesn't allow any of her health issues to affect her training, and especially her racing. As a coach, it's always a great thing when you never have to worry about the effort that you're going to get out of your runner. And Paige, I knew it was always going to be her best. She surprised me this year at something I've never seen as a runner in all my years of running. She ran her first two races on two completely different courses, different competition, in the same time of 28 flat. It's just unheard of. Her fastest race in the year was at Portage, and she ran a 26:39, and then she finished conference on a tough course for her in a time of 28:30. Paige is someone that the other ladies looked up to, was motivated by her work ethic, and was certainly a role model to the young teammates. She would come to practice, is usually one of the first ones every day. She put in the effort, and it's probably one of the last ones to leave every day. So, Paige, we thank you for your efforts, your strong motivation, and we look forward to another year and earning your certificate of achievement, Paige U. Not to sound like a broken record, again, this next lady was a very shy, quiet, pleasant young woman to be around. Her smile was infectious. She worked hard, if not harder than the more talented runners. And only when she started to have knee issues near the end of the year did she come to me, wondering if she should continue to practice or maybe take some time off for rehab. She told me at the camp, we got together the first week of the season at the bonding method. She said her main goal was to be a varsity runner. And for the 2 of the races this year, she did just that. She made the varsity team. She finished in the top 7 in team scoring for the year. She didn't have a PR, but that wasn't for a lack of effort. She was a consistent scorer, whether on varsity or JV. And I feel her personal highlight of the season was she was the JV finisher at the Mount Horror Wingway to help that team win the team title. Her improvement was just under 3 minutes, and it showed just how consistent and dependable she was for her team. I know she'll continue striving better, work hard in the off-season. Believe it or not, when you meet this young woman, how quiet and shy she is, she's actually gone out as a member for the girls' wrestling team this year. Earning a certificate of achievement, Isla Larson. Reagan Smith. Reagan, very talented runner. She had a lot of success the prior year as a member of the girls' state track team. And I was elated to hear when she was eligible and be able to come back to our program this year. Reagan was always dealing with a painful hip and leg issue for several years. She continued to prove her toughness by running at a high level on the varsity team, consistently scoring as a 4th runner, and improved her time by over 2 minutes. She was unable to race for 3 out of the last 4 meets, but she still managed to gut out a respectable finish at the conference meet. She came to practice, she put in the rehab, she did everything she could, and yet never complained. Even though she was in pain and yes, tears at the end of some meets, I knew she was at least trying, and that she was good at. She was always going to give her best to us. I knew she wasn't going to run for sectionals, but she still came and practiced with us that week and put in the efforts and rehab it. It wouldn't have been fair to put her out there for the team, her family, and for her own personal use or effort, but we really appreciate her for everything she did for us this year. I know she's disappointed, but instead I just want to look back upon the season and the great races she did have. I feel with time off, successful off-season training, and hopefully monitoring her racing next year, she'll once again be racing the upper level of the team runners in the conference itself, because she's taken that role. Earning a varsity letter and a bar, Reagan Smith. Emma Hermanson. Emma was another member of the team that had a lot of success in the prior year on the state track team, and I know she came into this season with high hopes. But at the second meet of the year at the North Ski Invite, she fell, twisted her leg, and she was unable to move up for several weeks. She did put in the rehab. She tried to practice a few times, but it just wasn't ready, and the season was put off for her. And then just as she was ready to get in shape and start the season, that illness bug hit her and set her back again. For any other person, they probably been discouraged and said, my season's over, I don't care, I just don't want to put in the effort. But that's not Emma's makeup. Emma came back, practiced at a high level, was constantly there to cheer on the girls while she couldn't run, and got back to where she was expected to be by the start of the season. She She ran her best race of the season at the sectional meet, the 21:55, on an improvement of 3 minutes over the year. Her sectional time was good enough for the second team score, and hopefully a huge amount of encouragement to also work hard off season and have a great senior year. Earning her varsity letter to Barb Emma Renson. This young woman, my wife and I had a nickname for our youngest daughter. We always called her the button pusher because she always seemed to push that bar to see how far she could get before she got under her skin. Every team has one of these, and for me it was Delaney. Delaney, her fun-loving questions and digs, it's something that sets her apart from others, and she really means it in a good manner. And even though she tried to push that envelope when it came to training and racing, Delaney proved that not only could she back it up, but she was as tough as nails. She began the year as number 2 varsity team scorer and ended up tied with Billy at the year end as a number 2 team runner. She endured a middle part of the season with a painful leg injury, but fought me tooth and nails when performing. She was now racing Portage. She said she was good. Thankfully, I did win out on that one. The following week, still not confident she could race at nightfall, she had a painful fall and was able to finish the race. But it didn't stop this young lady. She followed up the last 3 races, ran hard in practice, had her fastest times of the season, and topped it off with a PR of 22:27 at the sectional meet. Delaney, I truly enjoyed the challenges and the pushing that you did all year, the questions you would throw at me, and I look forward to a strong senior season. I know that she's going to do everything in her power to make her season a success along with the team. Earning a varsity letter and playing Delaney Hall. Final junior runner, we had high highs, and probably the only time my heart was broken was for this talented lady on the morning of the conference meeting before the boarding boss. Her mom called me. I was an answer phone because I didn't recognize the number, but I figured it was probably a parent. And she called to say that her daughter was very ill, upset, and in tears, and in no shape to run. Mary June, MJ Nelson. She was too a victim of that walking the morning bug that struck her team. It was so hard, not the fact that she was the number 1 team finisher for each of the races throughout the season, but she was starting to peak and had a strong chance to make it this league as an individual qualifier. Her and I butted heads every so often during the season when I gave her training times or race paces. She still went out and practiced and performed, and not only met those low paces, but usually exceeded it. Her outspoken leadership during the warm-ups were fun for the 4 workout, and I believe it was England's, as they call it. And not only her efforts on the course, she was a valuable asset to the team as a whole. She was leaned on by myself for team feedback on the path of the season and for a fun person to be around. She did come back and race sectionals, giving myself the team her best efforts, but it broke my heart for her and family to not make that state goal. I know that if not for the illness, they would have advanced on. We've already talked about what it will take for her during the offseason to get back to her peak efforts and be one of the top winners in the conference next year and to make that state trip. I have no doubts that if she stays healthy, positive, does the things that she needs to do, MJ, the world will be yours. Earning a varsity letter, a bar, and the top junior runner, Mary June Nelson. Junior class.
You know, the way Lucas came into the season, he was on fire, without a doubt. It was one of the strongest I've ever seen an individual come into the season. I was most concerned about making sure that he wasn't really firing on all cylinders until the end of the year. But when he came out at that Portage race and ran a 15:19, to my knowledge, that is the fastest posted time in school history. Now, you've got to take that obviously with a grain of salt because I'm old and they used to race 3 miles. But I don't remember even seeing some of the 3-mile times before 1985 as being 15:19. Unfortunately for him, it took a toll on his knee, and so he had to take some time off. And being that close to the end of the season, I could see about 3 days into the injury some worry in Lucas's eyes. And so he explored every option possible, did every rehab possible. Dry needling, which I know would go really, really low on his favorite things list as far as anything with needles. But what impressed me about Lucas with that whole ordeal was he was willing to overcome some of his biggest fears to make sure that he was able to race at the end of the season. And it paid dividends, without a doubt. For him to be able to go from 0 miles about 4 weeks out from the state meet to placing on the podium at the state meet just speaks to the absolute gifts that he has as a runner. What I saw this year, as important for me, is growth as a human. He continues to mature as a runner, and I start to see some of that maturity trickle out into other areas of his life, which is good for him and for his future. Because as he starts to now run the times that he's running, and I'll talk a little bit more about him in a little bit, but as he's running these times, he has to start considering his future. And having that with a good frame of mind and a mature lens is going to be vital. Lucas Tanner is receiving his 3rd varsity letter, his third first team all-conference this year, top junior, and all-state awards season. Congratulations. I know Tucker's got to leave here in a bit to go take care of some family, so I want to mention Tucker Ringstead. Tucker is one of my shot putters in the track program. When he decided to retire from football, his number 1 goal, there were 3 goals I remember talking about. His first goal was to still maintain 3 sports for all 4 years. So when he looked at what the fall offerings were, I think he could tolerate me enough during the track season that he would come out for cross country. Second obstacle, running. And for him, he voiced that. I don't know if I can run 3 miles yet. And so we waited, and he trained, and we waited, and he trained, and we biked, we ran, we walked, we fartleked, we paced. We did whatever it took to get Tucker to be able to physically run 3 miles, 5,000 meters. And when he was ready to do it, he said, all right, I'm ready to go. And I actually got somewhat choked up because it was at Spring Green that he ran his first 5K. And if you know Spring Green's course, the start-finish area is very, very busy. Kitty Corner in the golf course is a very, very quiet area over by the 2 mile. I mean, and the second loop, it's almost dead quiet. There's nobody out there because everybody's at the finish line. And by the time Tuck came through there were 3 guys, I think, still around him. And every time, when you're running back there, a lot of kids will just run for a while, then walk. Then run for a while, then walk. But our agreement was, you don't walk. You run the whole thing. And so as these kids started running and walking, I started talking to them about, we don't let walkers beat us. And every downhill, that stride opened up, and he would just stay focused. That kid would, where was he from? Baraboo, I think. It was a Baraboo kid. That would just try, there was a lot of key kid too, but the Baraboo kid kept surging up there, and then fading, and then surging, and then fading. And then finally on the last big hill, Tucker broke the kid's will. And it was awesome because the varsity who had already raced had come out and were cheering for him over the last half mile. He never quite broke that 40-minute mark, and I think that bothered him a little bit because at the conference meet he got sick and wasn't able to run. But I hope he enjoyed it enough, and I hope he's able to come back next year and meet that goal of breaking 40 minutes. Come on up, Tyler. Talking about somebody just that fights with utter will all of the time. I know well enough just through local pickleball circuits and summer running clubs that Blake Brauber is an elite pickleball master. I mean, he's got brackets hanging up in the garage. Some are dipped in gold. It's really impressive. But what was most impressive to me this year was Blake wanted to be a scoring member of the varsity. Blake made himself a scoring member of the varsity. It was so fun to watch those first couple of races where Blake's coming up on people and passing people, and they're watching them go by, and they're like, wait, where did this kid come from? And he's just flying past them. I'm like, yep, that's Blake. What broke my heart was at the sectional meet, he had a wicked chest full the week of sectionals. And when he was coming down the gravel trail about, I don't know, 800 meters, 600 meters to go in the race, the only thing that I could think to yell at him, because you know when you're suffering in the race, and the last thing you want to hear is, hey, you look great, when you don't look great. And you didn't look great. But what I yelled at him was true, and I meant it. I said, you may be running without lungs today, but you're all heart. And that's exactly the type of runner that Blake is. He's all heart every single time. It was great for him to get healthy and drop 30 seconds from his sectional time on an absolute grass track to the state meet because I know that ended the season with a feeling that he deserved from his training. Come on up and get your minds right. I know how much training Wyatt put in. I happen to monitor it fairly, not closely. I'm not on Strava. Have you heard of the Strava? There's a new Strava. You know, I mentioned it before. There's a certain amount of pressure when you are coming home and your coach is there saying, "How was the run? How was this run? How was this run?" Wyatt is very good at balancing our relationship as a coach and our relationship as father-son. Oftentimes I will be able to read when I've spoken too much and when I need to speak a little bit more. What I was most impressed by was that he never got down on himself this season. He came into the year, his first couple of, I forget which race it was, or which part of the season at the beginning, which week, he had strep throat. And obviously he was not performing well, but he had strep throat. And then about 3 weeks later, he had a real bad chest cold. So it kind of made its way through it. And he never really saw, I think, what he wanted to see from his times. But what I was most impressed by with Wyatt is I go through at the end of the season, I start to put together a list of places that I think you should take in a race. And the impact that our 3, 4, 5 runners have on the points. Wyatt said it before I ever even mentioned it. Going into the sectional meet, he said, I have the biggest amount of points in front of me and behind me. He knew the pressure that he was facing at the sectional meet because our front runners, there were only so many points they were going to gain. But Wyatt knew that if we were going to win that meet, he had to move up. And the same exact thing with the state meet. So what was so relieving to me at the state meet was for Wyatt to have dropped from his expected finish of around 74 team points. I don't remember the individual points. I was focused on the team. But 74 individual places, he moved up to 63. So for him to chunk off 10 points like that, 11 points, was a great relief because I knew that at times mentally he could have bended, but he never broke, and he was performing at his best at the end of the year. Wyatt, come on. Caden this is his second year with the cross-country team, although I don't think he ever was actually able to race last year. Is that correct, Caden? And then in the track season, he was able to get started, but again, the injury bug crept up on him. Caden does a great job of communication throughout the season, both with what his legs are feeling like now that he's been burned twice now, or 3 times, I think, with stress fractures. He did a great job this year of saying, hey, maybe I'll only do this run this week, and then I'll bike the other times. Or my family's going to be out of town, what do you want me to bike? Or do this or do that. And that's a really tough thing for a high school boy, especially in the day and age that we are as parents, where we take care of almost everything for them. Caden took care of every communication bit on his own. I don't remember receiving an email from either of his parents. He is the communication conduit for his business, and that's very impressive for a junior in high school. And I know that he ran a lifetime best because it was his, I think it was your second race this year that was at Mount War, or which one was that? What? The North? No, you made that. Nightfall, that's what it was. Ran his best time at Nightfall, and I was thrilled for him. Unfortunately, his family schedule was such that he wasn't able to race many times after that, but I know that he was relieved to be able to finish the season healthy. So I want to give him a token of thank you and recognize Caden Meyer. Come on up. Henry told me at the end of track season that cross-country season was going to be a little bit different this year because he was traveling the world. And at first I was like, oh, I'm not sure. He did. He went to Germany, had a great time, but he recognized that that was going to impact his summer training. What is great about Henry is, again, his communication skills. As soon as he got back, he wanted to slowly reintegrate running back into what he could physically take on, because Henry is someone who also has dealt with some shin splits in the past and didn't want to be sidelined at all. So we were very, very patient with getting Henry back up to his mileage. He was very disciplined with what he did, both running and biking. I know that as things started to hurt, he had to go inside to do some biking. But then, unfortunately for Henry, right when I feel like he was starting to reach really race pace where I was expecting him to be, he got hit with a bronchial infection of some sort, or a chest cold. And it lingered and lingered and lingered. I think he had that chest cold close to a month at least. And it was tough because you know, like I mentioned with Blake earlier, you know when a kid just is running with one lung tied behind their back. And it's not pretty, but Henry was never going to say, I don't want to race. And so I appreciate that about him. I admire him for his efforts. I know that we will see more impressive things in the future, but for right now, I'll just have to wait patiently. Come on up, Mike. Another one of my shot putters, Peyton Lewis, has been someone that I think is a love-hate relationship with running at times. He loves to be around the team, not a huge fan of running. He'll tolerate it, and I think that the memory I will take away from this year with Caden was at the Shorewood meet. Caden had not been able to finish some of the runs that we needed him, kind of those markers to be able to say, okay, you're ready to race. And when he found out, he was beside himself. Like if I had canceled the holidays or something, it's like, it's Shorewood, it's the early short. No, I want to race. He asked me, he asked Najee, he went up and talked to the race organizers to get a number after I finally relented and said, fine, but if I see you walk a single step, kid came out and ran a lifetime best. And so that told me that running holds maybe a small part, but a very precious part somewhere in you that wants to be out there with your teammates. Maybe it's not always running, but you want to be out there with your teammates. And I was impressed because Caden's performance was high and low, I would say at times, but when he wanted to turn it on, he'd turn it on. And that was impressive. So thank you, Caden. Come on up. Red Hart. It has been fun. I remember his first season. I remember having to ask his parents a couple of times, hey, you know, is Brett having fun? Because I just can't tell if he's having any fun at all. We went from me not knowing if he was having any fun at all to fast forward 3 years later to the camping trip. The state meet was a fun thing, don't get me wrong, but this might be one of my favorite memories of the season was Brett organizing and executing the first cross-country game of Mal I've ever seen. He was laughing, he was talking back to people on occasion to encourage them to learn the rules on their own. But what was fun was that I really felt like he started to gel with the entire squad, and that's what I hope all of our kids have before they leave after 4 years. You know, as far as the racing goes, there were days when I would feel like Brett could have gone a little bit harder, and then there were days where he'd drop 35, 40 seconds. I think his season best of his lifetime has to grow 19 minutes. Ran at, broke 20 minutes, ran in 1957, and I was over the moon with his sub-20. I think he went under 20 twice this year, I believe, which was very impressive. So I enjoyed watching him grow as a runner, but even more so as a teammate. Come on up, Brett. I only had one runner this season drop time in every single race. And a year ago, it was a year and a half now, I guess, in the summer months, he showed up. I think Henry, you might have gone out for a summer run one time. And Brendan and I had in class, both in math and in social studies, I believe, didn't I? And he showed up and I said, well, have you ever run before? He said, no, I haven't. And to be honest with you, those first few runs were not easy on Brendan. They were hard both on him, his lungs and his legs. Had to really kind of ease him into what running was, but the one thing that it wasn't to him was going to be an obstacle, and that was impressive. He wants to set goals sometimes that I'm not sure he can achieve, and then he goes out and achieves them. He did say to me, towards the end of the season, he asked me what my lifetime best was, and as soon as I told him that, he's like, well, I'm going to beat that too. And I'm here to tell you, if we do that, man, hey, we're going to be pretty darn good this year. So I have enjoyed watching you turn yourself into a runner and a leader on our team. Come on up, Brendan. I know that Dahmer has put in the work in the track season, in the summer. I'm going to be interested to see what he does here this coming winter. But I know that, are you curling? All right. So that's something that I admire about Dobbs is if he thinks it's going to make him better at what he does, he's going to put 100% into it. And the only thing that has gotten in his way along the way has been nerves at times. He knows when he's playing a vital role on the team. And he has become very astute as to what role that is and what he needs to do to fulfill that role. I have been impressed with how he has handled those nerves. I think that he would have continued to improve and add to our team depth until he tweaked his lower leg, had a was it soleus or calf or ankle, some sort of injury there at the conference meet that kind of derailed him and kind of took the wind out of his sails. But what I loved about when we turned around and qualified for state was he was there every single day and ready to race if we needed him. And I know that we would have performed as well if he had to step in those shoes as well. Earning his second varsity letter in cross country. Come on. I do want to recognize one more actually, and I don't have the certificate for him, but he came around and helped us manage a couple of the meets this year, and I want to call him up. But he took a step back from running, was able to come and cheer us on and take splits, help Coach Najee remember how to run a stopwatch. Carter Myers, come on up. Your junior class.
Before I get to the senior class, again, I want to thank all the families members for attending tonight. I want this team to know that they'll always hold a special place in my heart. That's the effort you put in, the season you had, but you were number one with my first team, and that's something that I'll always remember. I want to thank you for all the memories and the good times we had. I enjoyed the time spent with all the young ladies, getting to know your parents, your families, your stories, your student life, and I can't wait for 2025 to roll around. Ladies, I want you to relax, enjoy, have fun if you're doing a fall or winter sport, but shortly you can get back and work. We're prepared to do this all over again next year. I want to wish you happy holidays to all, and hopefully the next time I see Coach Parker, it'll be my Army Cadet team with Georgia Dog in the college football championship game. Seniors, each and every one of you made a big imprint by the leadership, the efforts, showing not only to me but all the teammates. And I know you made my job or my job so much easier when it came to meets to keep the girls first one, Bailey Monroe. Now, for the ones that I will miss the most, not only for the effort for the fourth, but for the leadership and quality that this class came back. Bailey Monroe is someone that I knew would always give 110%, whether it was at practice, at meets, not afraid to leave everything she had out there on the course trails. Unfortunately, she has had to battle for years hip and leg injuries that have forced her to have bags of ice, literally bags of ice, taped to her body after every practice, and then have pounds of tape on her knees and legs at every race to get out there. She's another quiet person who would channel her aggression when she got out on the course. She never complained. For anyone else, she could have given up too, blaming the pain for everything and saying it's just not worth it, but that's not a job for Bailey's boxing. She improved her race times by over 4 minutes this year, and even though not a regular varsity runner, was a true strong leader for the team and the GB squad and somebody to look up to. The younger ones were often forced to keep up with Bailey because she was out there giving her all. Bailey, I wish you much luck going forward. You know, with your work attitude, you will get to places you want to be in the future, and look forward to hearing more about it. Earning her first varsity letter in Bailey Monroe. Each member has the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. If you go over 3 minutes, we'll pull you off.
This is not going to last 3 minutes, I promise. So I actually don't have anything prepared because I knew if I did, I was going to start crying. But I just want to thank the team especially. I want to thank the team for always supporting all of us and for making it worth coming back every year. These past 4 years have meant a lot to me, and I will carry those memories forever. I want to thank the coaches for, putting in the work to, help our team get better throughout the season, and for supporting all of us.
This season, we had the pleasure of a sport exchange student joining the girls cross-country team, Dale Grant. She had informed me that she had done some running in her home in France, but not a 5K or really competitively. But that was soon to be proven not a deterrent, but rather a motivator for Dale. Her warm smile and willingness to keep up with the rest of the teammates endeared her not only to the coaching staff, but to all the team members in the whole. She often expressed to me her goal of running faster times than me, and did she ever. She improved her race time to over 3 minutes for the year, and her final race at Portage achieved her PR of 25:52. Unfortunately, injury bug hit her too, and not for lack of effort or rehabbing or trying to train, she was unable to race for the remainder of the season. That didn't stop her from showing up at each practice, putting in the efforts, trying to do the workouts, and doing the rehab that was asked. And she's often at the need still to help the support of the team. What she did with having really not much knowledge of high school cross country and being in a strange country, and no benefit of off-street season training to build a strong running base was really impressive. Bea, I thank you for your time spent, your hard work and dedication. Hopefully you'll have many great memories to take back with you. We miss you, wish you the best, and if you ever get back, please stop in and say hi. We know you have to choose to be a success and no matter what path you take moving forward. Receiving our certificate of achievement and graduating class numbers, Bailey Grant.
So honestly, 2 hours ago, I didn't find anything. But first, I wanted to subscribe to running this year. I don't know how to do it because this last 4 years. But this will always be something that I wish I would have learned all my life. Because what I wish I wanted to since all of the classes, or we were in the season. Thank you.
also wanted to thank my house family who allowed me to be here this year and make this goal. Thank you for that, for always supporting me and for looking this season. But also although I wanted to speak with that learning that this sport was not only a sport, but also a safe place and a place to learn this week. Thank you to everyone.
My first real introduction to Avery right after being hired, I showed up to one of the summer running camp workouts. And Avery was the one to come up and say hi, give me that encouraging smile that she's showing right now, and fill me in on what all the girls have been up to and what they were presently doing. I was instantly impressed by her quiet leadership as everyone there seemed to be looking to her for guidance. She started out the season as a down note, being the first of the girls to have an illness that pushed its way through, and it worked, took a lot of her initial training until we started the season. She was unable to race her first race at Milwaukee, but upon return, immediately put her head down, went to work, and managed to become a valuable swim runner, whether it was on varsity or JV. She improved her time throughout the year by 4 minutes and had a highlight of PR Portage, 23:20. If she chooses, I can definitely see Avery as a good cross-country coach for young women in the future. Her work skills, strong mind, quiet leadership would definitely be an asset moving forward. All the girls definitely look up to you, and I know they were always there looking for your support and guidance no matter what moving forward. But no matter what you do in the future, I know that you will be successful and probably will keep running as a part of your life because I know you enjoy running. Earning a varsity letter and a pin, a personal thank you from me, Avery Collins.
Hi, I'm Avery. To know that I finished my last cross-country season is huge. I remember being told in 5th grade that I should sign up for cross-country for next year, and I had no idea what it was. When I asked my dad, he told me it was just running, and he thought I'd like it. I mean, I'd done a few color runs in my day, and they were much more fun than difficult, so I gave it a try. And just because I was so inspired on the last day of 5th grade, and I usually walk home, I ran. A whole 3/4 of a mile. I didn't know why I did it, because I didn't really care or anything, but I felt pretty speedy. When I showed up that first day of middle school practice, and I pulled up in the same shoes I wore to school, I didn't really have the expectation of myself. Well, as I expected, I soon found out that cross country and color running were not in the same league. After I almost died doing a 1 mile loop because it was so hot outside, Mr. Shampoo dusting us all didn't make me feel any better about my performance. Yet, despite the early struggle, I didn't quit. When I joined the high school team, I had no idea what to expect. At the time, cross country wasn't a huge priority. It was just something that I did to have something to do. But it became so much more. I remember going into the summer runs in 2021 and seeing the family atmosphere that the high school girls fostered. I remember how excited I was to become a part of it. Although I was, and still might be, a fairly shy kid. I'm grateful it wasn't too difficult to make friends on the team throughout the years. Many of my teammates have had such an impact on me. They've taught me to show up, work hard, and have fun. 3 things that are quite important in the sport, but also fun. That's how you become successful. And although I may not be rich in medals, I am rich in gratitude for what this experience has given me. Now, to say a few thank yous. Thank you to my parents and sister for coming to my youth and supporting me. I know it was difficult to make it because of work sometimes, but when you're able to come, it really meant a lot. Thank you to Coach Kaufman for stepping up to the job and making my senior season possible, and for your support of the team. Thank you to Coach Myers for always displaying a positive attitude and your amazing words of encouragement. Your uplifting words always reminded me that even if I'm disappointed, there's always something I can stand for. Just for you, thank you, Coach Parker, for being a resource and always alive, even when I'm unsure of myself or always and then I also wanted to thank Coach Smith for his words of wisdom over the years. Even if it was a random quote he emailed us in the middle of the day, those words helped me to become someone that my teammates can count on. And then lastly, I want to thank my teammates who have done this sport without. First, I wanted to thank some of my older pals. Thank you, Taylor and Quinn, for showing me the value of hard work. They are some of the most dedicated, hardworking, and wonderful people that I know, and I'm so grateful to have them in my life. And then, thank you to the younger girls sitting in front of me. You are all such amazing people, and I'm so proud of each and every one of you. I know you guys will all do great things next year. Thank you to the girls of senior salsa. There's two right there, one right there. I love. Okay. There's no other group of girls I'd rather have gone on this journey. It was so great to have you on the team this year. I love seeing the girls shine through. That was just a fun experience. Bailey, from freshman fire to senior salsa, you've always known how to make practice and it's fun, and you're truly the soul of the squad. Estelle, Billy B, my forever running buddy. I'm so grateful cross country brought us together. I really love seeing both your determined and silly side shine through this year, even if it wasn't so mysterious. Thank you.
Estelle was the second young woman I met at the summer running camp. And upon introducing myself, she too came up with a huge smile and information as to what was taking place, who was running, and the daily plans. She too knew it was another that I could immediately detect as a strong leader and one that other girls were looking up to. Estelle was someone throughout the season who was not afraid to come to me with comments, concerns, or ideas for the team. And she also backed up the leadership by proving herself at every practice, especially during the meets. The funny thing about it was she'd come up to me often during the week and say she had concerns, she's making the varsity, and I would just look at her and smile and say, Estelle, you definitely didn't have anything to worry about. You were a varsity runner. Her team finisher on the varsity ended up as the third top scorer, and she improved each and every time she came out there. Her times moved by over 2 minutes for the season and was highlighted by a personal PR and one of her personal goals, as she reached at the camp, of 22:20 at the Portage meet. Estelle, as a true spotlight to the type of exceptional young woman she is, involved in numerous clubs, groups, activities, and we found out during practice when we talked about Bible stories, because her and Avery were teaching young kids Bible study. She would inform me that she had to leave practice early or would not be at practice, but she always asked what the workout was to be or what she would do on her own, and I never worried about if she was following through. She was always prepared and ready to ask. Unfortunately, walking pneumonia struck her during the season, and even though not completely healthy, she still gave her all, never complained or used it as an excuse. She too captured my heart, seeing her in tears as she realized at her last cross-country meet. Didn't think she gave her best, and after that section meet. I just went up to her, gave her a hug, thanked her so much for everything, and told her that she never has to regret that race or any of the races. She had every reason to keep holding her head high, and I know that I was as proud and moved by what she gave and sacrificed for the team and making my and coaching jobs that much easier, but for the effort, the ability, and the leadership that she showed. Truly, everyone on the team looked up to this girl. Thank you again. I can't wait to see what the future brings for you, but I know it's your way. Earning a varsity letter, a bar, and a certificate of the top senior runner is still coming.
Until like a half hour ago, actually I finished a few seconds ago. And this isn't even my phone, it's Avery's. But I wanted to speak, even if I procrastinated writing one until now. I remember my freshman year watching the seniors give speeches and rehearsing what I would say every other year after that magazine, excited for my turn. It's crazy that it's already that time. I first started running during COVID on a 30-minute lunch break between classes. I was following a workout I found on Pinterest that to do with the show I was watching, and most of these 2 to 3 mile runs were ran in Converse. Probably why I had hip problems for 3 years later. I wanted to first thank my parents for always supporting me and supporting my switch from soccer to running. That was a hard time for me, and so I love you guys. Next, I want to thank my coaches, Kaufman, Smith, and Coach Myers, as well as all the other assistant coaches who helped me out and worked with me through years. I want to especially thank Coach Parker for believing in me through injuries, surgery, as well as recognizing when I wasn't doing my best. Parker might have not been officially our coach, but he always felt it. I also want to thank two people who couldn't attend the banquet tonight. They're not dead, they're just going to be here. Starting with Logan Peters, or AKA Boon's sister. Logan was like an older sister to me and a huge part of my running career. Growing up as neighbors, I basically copied everything she did, including moving across the country. And I wanted to thank her for putting up with me, following her around for the few years I was here, both being in the same school. And I mean, I followed her around with everything. I'm surprised she was in Sydney. I also want to thank Coach Smith, who, just like Parker, was someone I could look to for help and support. Smith showed support in my running like no other and worked to help me improve my running every single day. I miss Smith greatly and will always be thankful for the life lessons that I learned from him over the years. Second to last, I would like to thank the seniors of Seniors Tulsa, who have become some of my best friends over the years. Bailey, who has been my closest friends, one of my closest friends all of high school. Bea, who in such a small amount of time became one of my closest friends ever, and especially Philly, aka Phil was one of my first best friends in high school. We met in gym class and eventually became Bill and Bill. Only started long runs with Rio music, and I want you to know you'll always be one of them. And lastly, I want to thank the team as a whole, boys and girls, for supporting me and making me the last 4 years memorable. I never finished with the time I say I'm proud of, but I finished with the team who made up for that. So thank you.
And finally, the boys senior class. Now we have 9 of you. So we'll make sure we try and keep it at. Now this 3 minutes is a real 3 minutes, not like a dark 3 minutes. The senior class is special to me mainly because they have been, every season post-COVID has been with these guys. And like a lot of things, a lot has changed because of COVID. It has made me really realize how much I enjoy spending time with people. And these guys have made it very easy to spend time with them. They are the only class to have only known conference titles. They have won 4 conference meets in a row, and I believe 3 JV conference meets in a row. So, did you have 4 of those? All right, all 4. So that's impressive for this senior class. First up, I'll talk about is Easton. Easton, coming into the season, I don't know if he had done a ton of training over the summer. I think he'll tell you not. But the difference between the Easton of this year and the Easton of the past was patience. He exercised patience with himself. He did not get overly frustrated with what he was doing or where he was at on the team. When I would talk to him about his races this year, it wasn't, hey, maybe let's maybe back off. It was, hey, I think that's a pretty good idea. He would set markers on who he wanted to race with, and as the season progressed, he started seeing himself drop times, drop places on the team, and really coming into the conference meet, it was easy for me to be able to project lower scores than what the numbers showed because of how Easton was trending. He continued to trend throughout the entire postseason, finishing, I believe it was 5th overall at the conference meet for his first team all-conference. But his point dropped from, I believe it was somewhere around where he was supposed to be around 28 with the sectional meet. He finished 12th with the sectional meet. Was the reason that we went from hoping to be second to really snatching first place away from everybody else. He continued to show that maturity as we went to the state meet and performed well there so that our team could finish in 4th. I think as I look back on Easton's career, there's peaks and valleys, and I'm thrilled beyond measure that he was able to end with a peak. So with that, your varsity letter, Easton team.
So originally, in 5th grade, summarized that, I was at my grandma's house, and my uncle told me to run cross country. Well, he said you run country. And I didn't know it was running, I thought it was going to be cross. So I came to first practice, and he said we had to run, and I gave him. That's not fun. Anyways, I kind of just kept doing it because it was something that I had to do. But then in high school, I just kind of saw myself getting better. And actually at one point, I was close to being the fastest in my grade. So that kind of settled down as far as yeah, I think I don't have but overall, I think I have fun and I don't think I'll ever run there. Even though I wasn't very confident with kids, you actually were kind of the only guy I was in that actually wanted me to be better. So. I want to thank Chandler for always being there for me when I kind of sucked and better. And I want to thank a lot because we were in Congress, so he's pretty much always been my team sport. I want to thank Pete and Benson for always being the best. I want to thank Coach Parker for always being then I want to thank my parents for pushing me to run even when I didn't want to. And even though I've been overshadowed by Elijah, I think I've been busy running this year for me.
All right, next young man came out from track, I believe, his sophomore year, and enjoyed being around the guys. Enjoyed being around the guys, enjoyed running, what running offered him. I think as much physically as it was just find some equilibrium. I'm a big proponent of offering running as a way to just be able to relieve stress that way. And AJ then decided to come out for cross country, and he had spent that first track season, I believe, as a 200, 400 runner, 400, maybe an occasional 800. So the jump was pretty dramatic for him. And I think his junior year, the shins didn't act so great, and so he was frustrated at times. So he put in a ton of work this summer. I know he put in more mileage than was being asked of him, but that's what he wanted to do, wanted to make himself better. I know that this season had some highs and lows as well for him, but I was happy to see him get really close back to where his PR was. I remember going into the nightfall meet, I was trying to encourage the guys to believe that they could run just as fast there potentially as they did at Portage, or potentially a PR, and he kind of rolled his eyes at me. I think that might have been where you ran your fastest time of the season. So anyway, I was happy for AJ to be able to finish the second half of the season in a more positive light than the first half, and I want to thank him for his 2 years on the cross country team and offering him his first varsity letter in cross country.
But these past 2 years, I didn't think I would like as much more than I did, and I really appreciate everyone that goes to you guys, all of us kids. I think it's just a really great season, great 2 years. The only thing I wish I had done is I would have started earlier, but I'm glad I got it done, and it's not as hard.
Boondocks. I remember Boone when he was on the swim team for defect. I think he just liked that. He just liked running. But I have enjoyed watching Boone. I think my favorite part, first of all, he's another one of the shot put crew. But this year, what I would say about Boone was he transformed from, hey, it's just kind of fun to be here, kind of fun to be with the guys, to, hey, if I'm around this particular group of guys, I can lead some of them. And he really kind of transformed into that kind of leadership role of some of that crew back there. I was very impressed with what he was willing to do and how honest he was willing to be with me. When I say, hey, let's maybe go after this time, 25, 30, yeah, that's not going to happen today. Could I barter? Could I go 25, 45? And then there was a fun back and forth. I think he might be one of the last kids that I can freely just slug in the arm without knowing that his parents are suing or anything. But I really feel like Boone has grown as a leader on this team. He's got the personality that people just want to spend time around him. I wish that he wanted to be around people more often, but I think he likes his solitude as well. I think he likes his downtime, whether that's at work or if that's at home. But that's a nice balance that Boone has struck. I think that he, with his CrossFit that he's always done, and now coming into his senior year of track, I think I'd like to see him maybe take himself more seriously as an athlete, but I know that whatever he decides to do, he's going to have a darn good time doing it. And I've had a good time having him on the team. Boondocks, come on up here. A poster for this year. It's got goals that it's going to highlight.
I just want to say thank you to you guys, the girls like
an email, I think it was Monday this week, was this our highest finisher at the safety event? And I'm sad to say it is not. It is tied for our highest finisher ever. But I think when Elijah looks back, I don't know if he would have gone into that race and told you, I'm going to be first. I don't think he would have. I think he would have been thrilled with fourth, fifth, maybe. But I told him earlier on in the year, as he started gaining form coming off of the track season with his injury, it took a lot of patience on his part this year. And that's not his best trick, right? It's not most high school boys' best trick to be patient. But he needed to be patient with his fitness. I knew his work ethic was there. It always has been since probably halfway through your sophomore year. You haven't looked back, right? What was it? The Smiley, I believe, your sophomore year. You know, a lot of folks don't talk about this, but Elijah's best time your freshman year was 18:07, and it wasn't until sophomore year you had an injury, I think, so you had to run JV at the Smiley meet, if I'm remembering correctly. And he came out and just decided, I don't remember if you won it or you came darn close to it, right? But running at the front of the race does something to some people. It makes them believe that's where they should be no matter what race they're in. And I think from that moment on, Elijah believed he should be at the front of every single race. And he darn well was after that point. Now, it took him a little while this season to be at the front of the team, and I think that made him better. I think that made him hungrier, and I think that paid off dividends when we got to the state meet. Because when he came around, you guys were heading up that hill, and about 1,000 to go or so, I think the light clicked on again and said, I should be up there. And if you followed online at all, his arrow went turned green and dropped 4 places in the last 600 meters or so. And that's not a course where you're going to just turn into an all-out sprint, but that's what Elijah did. Elijah has helped lead our team not only place-wise, performance-wise, but also to some degree personality-wise. We've had good runners before. We've had very good runners before. I'm not sure many of them would tell you, I am a runner first. And Elijah has been one of the first ones to come in and say, I am a runner first. And that's his personality. I think if he was to describe himself, he is a runner. And I might say he's a darn good runner. Taking third over on the state, winning his second conference title, second sectional, no, first sectional title. And 3 times first team all conference. I think so. And first team all state. I don't know how you build a better resume. I'm impressed, but I look forward to seeing what's next. Come on up.
Saying goodbye is never easy, especially when it's something you love. For me, cross country gave me a purpose. A purpose to become a better person than I was before. And I believe I've accomplished that goal. So what is this running? First one we are. It's no delicious. 5 years ago, I didn't have any real friends. My math teacher, Mr. Parker, suggested I join cross country. I'm not sure what went through my mind that day, but I decided to give it a try. On my first day of practice, I could run 3 miles. But it didn't matter, because for the first time in my life, I felt like I mattered. I was in a place where I couldn't fail, just showing up felt like I was winning. From that day on, I was hooked. I looked to the upperclassmen like they were gods, and it made my life mission to be like them one day. Now, 4 years later, I'm here. Being the person I always wanted to become. Do I feel like I'm still being a senior? I hope that I'm talking to your eyes. Make it happen. Don't stop until it does. If you give everything, and I mean everything, it will happen. The journey won't be easy, but that's what makes it fun. So enjoy it, and make every second count. And like the great poet once said, reach for the stars, so that we fall, we land on a cloud. Thank you.
We have a couple of first-year seniors as well. RJ is a first-year cross-country runner, another young man that we needed to monitor pretty close as far as making sure we could get the distance down before we go through the race. I think RJ had a few other obstacles in his way as far as making sure his body was ready to race. The number one thing was knowing what pace was too fast and what pace was too slow. And that may sound elementary, but for RJ it was a little more dire that way. He needed to make sure that he didn't go so fast that his body would react very negatively. I'm forever grateful that Coach Vincent ran with RJ frequently and was the first to be able to really help RJ find that kind of sweet spot of about 9:50 to 10:05. And really helped him instill that type of pace so that he could show up. Ended up running his first race, I believe it was at nightfall, and then being able to run again at the conference meet as well. So I am grateful that RJ came out with the team, learned a little bit about himself, and helped me learn better how we can make sure every kid is getting what they need to see racing. Congratulations, RJ. I think Miles would tell you he probably came out from cross country because his brother came out from cross country. I think after tonight, Miles would tell you he's a runner. And I'll tell you what Miles did tonight. He's a great leader. And I'll talk about his leadership a little bit later on. And Miles has battled injury. He's battled illness. He's come back stronger from every single one. But tonight, what was most enjoyable to me, I think, was watching the utter satisfaction he had coming in tonight. I was coming in to set up, and the guys had just come from doing one more workout, and a couple of the guys had paced Miles to a 26-second PR, about a 26-second PR in a 5,000 meter on the track. To see the satisfaction on his face, I think washes away a lot of the frustration from that he has had, the highs and lows of physical ailments over the years. But what has been most fun for me is the role he has been as a leader. He is a voice of reason. He is not afraid to hold people accountable, which when your coach isn't around, you still need somebody that's going to make sure that the ship is staying on the right course. And I think that Miles has been a wonderful voice that way. So whether it's been, I'll tell one more story. At the Verona Invite, the Madison Memorial coach came up to me and said, "Hey, I want to just mention your JV guys." And I'm like, "Oh boy." He's like, they were over at the, I don't know if you were outside the baseball diamond or inside the baseball diamond. They went over to do their dynos and their RPR over there. And the memorial coach came through and said he was looking for the adult that was leading. And I knew right away, I didn't need an adult over there. I had Miles. And he is an unbelievable leader of his peers. And that is what I think he can offer so many things moving forward in his life. Miles, come on, let's do that.
I just want to get this started with thank yous. First and foremost, my parents, my mom and my dad are here.
probably the biggest impact out of any of those three sports. Golf team, I love those guys. Hockey team, I love those guys. These really turned into my family over the past couple of years. And then I've been hanging out with Connor and Wyatt and Wyatt. Put fencing every single morning. There's flags, there's stuff all. He's been nice enough to let us sit around. We can play categories and all that stuff. It was like AED time last year, which was quite the experience. I'm sure they'll tell you that. But I think it's been a really great experience that I really didn't expect at all. And I've really grown to love these guys as their brothers. I don't think I know anybody better than Tom. Whether we're talking that night or whatever flags or lunch or anything, he's going to be that voice that'll keep me going. And I think someone mentioned earlier that he was Easton, that he was the #2 runner in the class of 2025 for one race. First place was actually me, ahead of Elijah Kayvon. And he quickly took that over to be like 3 minutes instead. Coming second in Jamie Tompkins. And he beat my brother, who actually continued that streak by losing the Chandler this year. Which is nice. Glad I can keep that going. And last, I want to thank the coaches, all the runners on the team, both the boys and girls. Coach Nashi has been there over the past several years running with the guys, maybe not as much in the managerial position and like keeping splits and all that, but he's been able to really run with the guys and be a part of the team. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for coming out here tonight and cheering us on and cheering us on for every meeting.
Next young man, Jack Grisky. Jack is another golfer that also likes to run. I think Jack has learned a lot and has grown and matured, knowing what his body can handle. In fact, oftentimes he will tell me, hey, today's I know a little bit this type of day. I think I can do this type of mileage on my bike and get the same thing. It's that type of growth and self-awareness that I need every guy to be able to do by the time we leave our program. Jack also has come out of his shell a little bit more this year, wanting to make connections. I think that he was a great resource for this sophomore class when they were freshmen. I know there's several of those guys that he was close with, both in training and just kind of making a connection with. I think he's been a soft-spoken leader of our team over the last couple of years, and I appreciate what he has offered in encouragement and positivity to everyone around him, including himself. I think that through his knee pains and leg pains, it's been difficult for him to set too lofty of goals, but I think that he has achieved each of the goals that he has set along the way. So thank you very much, Jack. Come on up and be seated.
So I'm gonna get started. I wrote it. Yeah, so I think it's safe to say I love running. I don't really know why. I like the races are good. Y'all know that. I like the pasta parties. They know that. Running. But I'm still here. I've been doing this for 6 years. It's crazy saying that. I know it was Genevieve O'Keefe, did it in 6th grade, whatever. Came up to me after school at the end of the school year. You want to do this thing over the summer? It's called cross country. You run, like 2-3 miles. I'm like, sure, whatever. That's the last day, so I show up, started here. Meet all these people. One of them, right over here, is next to me. Yeah, I was stuck there ever since. Yeah, you know, it's fun to be here. I really do love this team. I love it, you know, when you challenge me. I wasn't out there. A couple of the guys started this season. Just all in kind of the iffy range. You're not quite self-performing, but like, you know, you're not like way out from it. You're like, you want to get there. So, you know, a couple of guys, we were, you know, talking, oh, it's the year, we do it. When I was posting with Brendan back there, I was, you know, it's, oh, I'm gonna get it this race. That's gonna happen. I'm like, okay, well, sure. And he did, and that really shocked me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm proud of you. I'm really proud of you. And then, you know, I was thinking, well, I still need to do that. So I'm like, hey, Brad, just get rolling. Tie around, you carry me that finish line. And sadly, that didn't come past. Didn't find the rope in time. But it was pretty good. You know, I'm happy. I know Coach said a lot of sophomore guys. You know, I think all of them. You know, a lot of them, you know, really good comments. I really love this team. As I said, the running, I'm not here for the run. I'll be honest. That's the first part. It's the fourth run after run. All the guys here. You know, all the classmates, the small team, all the freshmen coming in. We have a great couple seasons ahead here. And I really do love this. So just to wrap this up, I gotta say thanks. Thanks to my parents for putting up with me going to Culver's. Who knows how late. I gotta thank all the coaches, you know, giving us this opportunity. You know, I think they'll do without them. They run the thing. So, and yeah, I gotta thank the team. Everyone here, you know, they're the best part of it. Yeah, it's not a finish there, so that's it.
First year cross country runner. Retired from, I think he was playing football for most of your high school. No. But he's also, we had to share him with the cheer squad this year, which I thought he did a wonderful job balancing those two things. The neat thing about John was he had two older brothers that also ran with me. And I don't feel like he ever tried to compare himself to them. The only time that he ever really wanted to try and fill their shoes was literally at the end of the season. He wanted to PR, so he knew his brothers had donated their spikes to me. So he asked if I could try and find those spikes. So he literally filled their shoes in the last race that he ran. And I'm pretty sure that was the best time was at the conference meet. What's impressive about John is that he started conservative and he would ratchet it up each time he got the opportunity to race. I know that he had markers in the back as to this is where I should be, where Boone's at, a little bit behind him, and then I want to be right where Boone is, and then I want to finish just a little bit in front of Boone, and then I look over there and they're in an all-out fight in the middle of the race. But it was nice to watch John progress throughout the season. But what was more impressive was, again, I go back to that high school boys in communication. I would get an email from him at least 1 week out. And that type of self-awareness is going to serve him much further than running 5,000 meters. So I hope you had a good time this year, John. I appreciate you coming out. Come on up and get your first.
Sometime during my high school career, I was from cross country, into it. And freshman year went by, sophomore year went by, junior year went by, and then senior year stuck up on me, and there was only 1 year left to do it, so I had to come out and do the best I can for the team. And I was really happy with our year results, and sure, doing well. He gave me some extra motivation after a couple races, and I was able to consistently running. Yeah, that's a big major. I don't know if you call me somebody. Listen to you. Just being out there a couple times. Being part of this team and knowing that it's fun. I think it's important to always keep in mind that for me, physically, that's the hardest part, but mentally, there's a point where knowing that for whatever you do and wherever you are, as long as you have the heart to keep on going, anything's possible. I'm sure if you mentioned in the speech that if you put your mind and focus on anything, you can achieve it. As long as you stay and visualize that exact thing. On the extent that you want to push this week, on the best technology, then a lot forward, a lot faster than I expected when I was first learning how to I expected that there's no excuse that I don't need to only require to keep on going. I don't want to set all the people in the show up, which would have years ago, but if it was really studying, it was 4 weeks, and obviously probably able to see me go out. And whenever I got to that race, things around me, I just want to thank everybody.
I'm a senior up here, young man that Miles already talked about him a little bit, but watching him become a vocal leader of the team as well. And he's not much of a speaker. I'd be absolutely floored if he gets up here and gives a speech more than 38 seconds long. But Connor really is that voice of reality that everybody needs. Like if you're talking and you're down on yourself, he can pick you up. If you're talking and you're maybe a little, this is going to date me a little bit, if you're talking a little big for your britches, he's going to put you in your spot. Connor is the type of leader on the team that every team needs to kind of be the gravity. He holds people in high regard and in accountable positions. I was very impressed with how he was able to navigate the pains that he had in his lower legs. I think almost to his detriment, he decided this year that he was just going to suck it up as long as he could, and I think finally his body, somewhere around Portage probably, he ran his lifetime best out in 1804, and it didn't look like he was running without a flat tire pretty much the rest of the time. And anytime I asked him, you know, how you feeling? Good. His leg is literally shaking, and I'm like, maybe we should take the day off. I'm good. So, you know, it's that type of example. You don't want somebody to hurt themselves, but you also want people to understand that there are times when you can be in a little bit of discomfort and work through it. I think Connor took that to the nth degree a little bit, but I've enjoyed watching him grow up over the years. I've enjoyed having him part of the team, and he has pushed every one of those JV titles a little bit further along as a kind of a vocal leader back there, and I guarantee you he was over there and growing up with Miles leading those warm-ups. So, Connor, come on up, buddy.
So, Mark might be right when he says I'm not going to make it past 38 seconds. I'm no public speaker. Let's see where to start. So I've been running cross country probably like 7 years now. It all started when my dad just like pushed me one day this morning. I told him no, and he didn't care, so he signed me up anyway, so I had no choice. It's been like that the past 7 years. It's not been fun. Like Parker said, there's a lot of injuries, but I'm not the kind of person who stops running. So I just kept going. And take ibuprofen, that's good. Lots of ibuprofen, that helps a lot. I want to thank my parents for pushing me and forcing me to do this sport to run faster, but also pushing me. I want to thank Benson for believing in me not academically, for sure, he definitely supported me, not academically, like I said. And Najee always helped me through my runs. He always told me I looked like I got shot. And then had to battle with Parker, so I had to stop him. That's the only time I stopped. And then of course Parker, he always remembered me. He always told me whenever I got a haircut, even though I already knew, he had to make sure that I got a haircut every single time. I don't think he's missed a single time. But yeah, he was always there believing for me. I could hear him yelling every single race, including my dad. My dad is the loudest yeller ever. You guys might not hear, but I can sure hear him from all the way across the way. I can hear him. If he's not at 1 mile mark, he's probably at 2 mile. I can still hear him. Yeah, cross country was a journey. A lot of people. I've become friends with many people. I don't think I would have become friends with any of these guys. But I've had my best friends since before we got David, Miles. Yeah. Thank you.
Senior class, folks. Senior class. Team awards and we'll wrap it up
First of all, each and every one of the girls, it was a hard choice for all of us. We had many serious discussions, emails, texts, back and forth. It was a hard choice for each and every one of you. Come up with the person that you felt deserved, but these are truly the ones that ended up shining and deserve it. First award I have is the Spirit Award. The Spirit Award is for the person that we feel again shows up, never complains, puts in the work, grows, and is just a role model for the team. They don't have to be a senior, they don't have to be a leader on the course, but it's somebody that we feel truly shines and continues to be spirit. This year's Spirit Award winner is Ira Brooks. The next award is the Coaches Award. Again, the Coaches Award is set up that as if none of our coaches were there and we had to have a person on the team who won the team. Somebody again is a team of trust and follow and put their trust into. We never have to worry about that person at training, at work, training, for racing, whatever. Truly, this one was actually a fairly easy one. The Coaches Award this year is Del Melvin.
Guys, Coaches Award also take into account races as far as not so much where they're finishing in the race, but watching the course of 5,000 meters and knowing that there's nothing left in the tank. We had a lot of guys that were willing to run through brick walls, but I mentioned it earlier, watching him race to a position that if we had taken out our number 1 runner, Blake's finish and such would still would have qualified us for state. He was our number 5 guy. And so knowing that he was going through that time period with his illnesses, I guess the Coaches Award to Blake Brown.
Most improved, again, from what you heard from all the times the girls started the year with and ended the year, they improved very much in average time from beginning to end. But this person really showed from beginning to end an improvement each and every week. The hard work, the effort, the placing, the consistency, and we're proud to say that, again, after a bunch of discussion, both Myers and both came to agreement to deserve it. Most improved, Delaney Allman.
It's tough to tell those improved. My mantra has always been the faster you run, the harder it is to run faster. A guy that is going to be running 35 minutes his first race, drops down to 20 minutes, that's pretty darn impressive. The guy that runs, riding around that 18-minute pace, but then is consistently running in the low 16s and offering you positions where most other teams have their number 2. To me, going from someone that was barely scratching at that 6-7 spot on our team last year to being someone that I look forward to potentially replacing some spots on the podium at the state meet. Logan Davis, come on.
MVP. Again, disappointment at the end of the season, but was consistently the #1 runner on the team for the whole year. A leader, somebody that, again, in practices, warm-ups, jump up during practice, during the times that we had our special workouts and everything, always in front, leading. She truly was the MVP for the runner with the top scoring of #1. Very good.
For MVP this year, it's difficult because this young man had to fight through injury, had to fight through a little bit of self-doubt. Luckily, he had a training partner that they could kind of chase after when they were coming off of that injury. Could really, it's tough saying that any one person is the best person on your team when you have 2 people that are the 2 best in 85% of the races that we were running. But I had to finally settle on who was going to be the MVP, and I'm quite okay saying it's Elijah and Lucas. Come on.
Final awards for us tonight, the Captain's Award. We save this one for the end because it's truly an award that the coaches are not the ones that pick them. During our camping trip, the first week of the season, we take a vote among all the girls, and we ask them to name the top 2 or 3 people that they were considered to be the captains this year to lead the team. It was hard. There was actually 7 different runners that received votes, but the top 3 that actually received the most and tied, and we have one unanimous one. This year, the Captain's Awards goes to Mary Jo Nelson, Amy Poplars, and Estelle Mello.
For me, the Captain's Awards the Captain's Award is the most prestigious, that's why we say it to the end, because to me, those are the leaders of your team. Vocal, physical, doing what they need to be doing, and as in the eyes of their peers. That's what's important, is that they are voted on and just kind of run through the sister of the coaches. So this year the team voted for Miles Coolbar, Elijah Keown, and Wyatt Parker. Come on.
I think
believe we're under record time. Everyone was saying 10:30, MJ just wanted to be here all night. Please turn in your uniforms if you get the chance. I want to thank everybody once again, not only for being here, but for the last 3+ months. If you have not yet turned in your uniform, you'll be getting a bill shortly. Please don't forget your pictures, cupcakes and cookies left over, and seniors, your frames over here. Thanks. Have a good book. Oh, I'd like to point out that Coach Najee can